So I got in my car and I was driving over an overpass, and I could just see in my head driving off of it. And as I'm daydreaming about this, I have my steering wheel in hand and I'm just veering off and off and off. And I wanted to die. I didn't want to be here anymore. My name is Illiana Payne. Hear my story. So some of my earliest memories are going back and forth between my mom and my dad's house, some arguments, spending a lot of time with my grandparents because my mom worked a lot in the hospital. My childhood was rough. At a very early age, I was being molested when I was in pre-K by a family friend. It was really hard because I felt like I always had a secret. I knew from an early age, because my mom and my dad were going through this custody battle, I was afraid if I told one of them that I wouldn't see the other anymore. So I always had a secret. I always felt like I was different. I always felt like sometimes I felt dirty. Sometimes I just felt different. I just didn't feel like the people who were around me. And I carried a lot of that into middle school and high school. And it didn't help because I was bullied a lot. My mom eventually ended up getting laid off from her job. And slowly but surely, we began to lose everything. We lost our car. We had to start getting rid of our possessions. And eventually we ended up losing our house. And we went from hotel to hotel, kind of just trying to find a place. My mom worked so hard to try and just get back on her feet, just for us to have a safe place. And I would be there throughout the week, and then on the weekends, I'd go live with my dad and his new wife. Around 6th grade, I ended up moving in with my dad after my grandparents agreed to fly my mom and my brother up to Boston. It turned out the grass wasn't as green as I thought it was on the other side. Because it's one thing to be bullied in school and then another to be bullied in your own home. We started smoking, we started drinking before church, after church, at church. Senior year of high school, I was really badly addicted to Xanax, and no one knew. I started pulling away from my church and my church commitments and what I was doing and hanging out with people outside of church. Around the middle of my senior year, my mom got diagnosed with cancer. And I packed up my stuff and I moved to Boston to take care of my mom. And miraculously enough, I took my last Xanax on that plane on my way to my mom. And I spent an entire year in Boston taking care of her until she achieved remission. And I was really, really close to God when I was in Boston. I was doing really good. I worked at Mass General Hospital. I felt like I had a purpose. Like I was doing the things. And when my mom went into remission, the depression started kind of kicking back in again. I didn't feel like I had that purpose as like a caretaker. I didn't really feel like she really needed me there. So I ended up coming back to Florida, and that was the real start of my addiction and the real downfall. I started working at a restaurant, and while working there, I became close to some of the people I was working with, and they were the first ones to introduce me to cocaine. And then it continued. I started going to bars. I would drink a lot. We would do a lot of cocaine, and I eventually stopped going to work. I went on probably a week-long bender, like every single night, going out, drinking, doing cocaine, and then I'd come home and just feel terrible. Like, I just felt so disgusting and tired, and I didn't want to get out of bed the next day. And at the end of this bender, I had a friend and I was staying at her house. And I stayed at her house in her guest bedroom for 3 days, and I didn't leave. I didn't shower. I didn't leave the room. I didn't get out of bed. And I wanted to die. I didn't want to be here anymore. So I got in my car and I was driving over an overpass, and I could just see in my head driving off of it. And as I'm daydreaming about this, I have my steering wheel in hand and I'm just veering off and off and off. And then it felt like something stopped me. Like I was trying to turn the wheel of my car and it wouldn't turn anymore. Like no matter how hard I was getting mad because I was trying to drive off this overpass and I couldn't. So I drove off the bridge and I sat in a parking lot and I cried and I was like, why, God? Why? Why am I still here? I can't do this anymore. I don't want to be here. I can't do this anymore. I eventually ended up going home. And that same day, my dad sat me down and gave me an ultimatum. And he said, I don't know what's going on with you. You haven't been yourself. I don't know what's going on. But you need to find something to do with yourself or get out. And that's when I broke down and told my dad that I just wanted to die. And I begged and I said, I need help. I need help. I need help that you can't offer me. Like, I need professional help. I thought I was just depressed. I never knew I was an addict until I actually checked myself into a facility. And they had 2 separate groups, a mental health group and a co-occurring disorder group. And they put me in the co-occurring disorder group, and there was an AA meeting at the end of the night. I sat in that meeting for the first time, and I heard other people share about how they had gotten there. And I was like, wow, I felt all these same things. So I went through this amazing rehab program. They did therapy, they did a lot of education, they just educated me about my brain and how it worked. And while in rehab, I realized that I wasn't alone and that there were more people like me that felt just like me. Now I can honestly say that I am the happiest and most peaceful I've ever been in my entire life. If your story is anything like mine, and you feel lost, broken, unseen, not heard, there's hope. Today I put my hope in Jesus. He can give you the same hope. We do not have to live like this anymore.